Hey, welcome to the Pinebox demo channel. Today we are taking a look at free shit. So this is, at its simplest, an octave pedal combined with fuzz. It is monophonic, it is synth-like, and it tracks pretty well given what it is. So alongside my usual demo, I decided to do a little bit of a walkthrough because we will not be having the Can't Talk Pedal show for some time. Andy, the co-host that we've been doing all of the playthroughs with, has broken his hand. So, we're kind of out on that for a little while. So, free shit is really, it is an octave and it is kind of synth-like, but it's really pretty familiar in the way that it can still be pretty useful and musical. Like everything else that I do. I like to give a lot of function sets and a lot of knobs, but I mostly use them pretty tame, and you can find pretty tame settings here. So let's start off with the controls. You have volume, you have one octave up, you have one octave down, and you have a sub-octave. On top of that, you have a wave, which is it controls the waveform a little bit. So to the left will be a little smoother, lets a lot of the octave through, and then the more clockwise you go, the octave lessens a little bit, the octave effect, but everything's a little bit smoother and less gated. You then have a fuzz control, which is the amount of gain in the fuzz circuit on the tail end, and you have a frequency control. So the frequency control is basically like a tone control. To the left you have higher frequencies, and to the right you have lower frequencies. So without any further ado, let's start turning some knobs. I'm running a Jazzmaster through the Pro Reverb. It sounds something like this. So let's start raising the octaves a little bit. I'm just going to go one at a time. Notice that the wave control really has a big effect on the overall sound. So let's bring in that second octave. I'm going to leave the wave control rolled back right now, so we can just kind of highlight the octaves. One thing to note is that rolling your tone control back a little bit and maybe counteracting it with the frequency really lets the octaves shine through. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this up a little bit. fuzz a little bit. Roll that sub octave back down. Let's see about getting a dirtier signal. So that is the more octave heavy settings, and just really quickly, let's roll into more of a straight fuzz characteristic with hints of octaves below. So yeah, that should give you a good idea. One thing to note that it is monophonic, so chords are not great. The wave control really helps you dial that up to where it's not. It technically can only read one note at a time, but it's not going to cut your signal or make it sound out of tune or anything. I don't know how many people use an octave pedal with chords, really. Maybe some do. I'm sure somebody does. So really quickly, I want to discuss the pick dynamics. So like the attack and how hard you're playing. It really has a huge effect on this pedal. The octaves can go from quite gated and really kind of an interesting sound. Maybe in like an ambient setting or something like that. So let's play a little bit of that real quick. So it is pretty gated there. You can really do a lot of work with your volume control, and it's gated, but not in the sense where if you strum, I can show it. If you just barely touch it, like the notes are going to come through, but it's not hard to anticipate how much it's going to come through. So it really gives you another way to use your guitar a little more. That is likely how I would use it in a lighter setting, because the fuzz is there. So roll your volume down a little bit, roll the tone back a little bit, and kind of get a cleaner signal and something a little more interesting to add, like texture or something like that, to a song. Let's roll this reverb up a little more. There's plenty more sounds to be had out of this. I think that gives you a good idea. So I think that's good for now. I'll likely do some more demos in the future. The demo that I'll be posting with this, the sound clip, is kind of like sly rock and roll, if you will. And that's not typically what I play, so I'll likely be inspired at some point to add something a little more similar to what I typically play. So that's about it. Free shit will go on sale on April 15th, and I will be doing getting them out as quickly as I can. The shipping will be within a week or two of release, I'm sure. The first batch is not really going to too many dealers, and then the second batch I will kind of allocate to dealers. Just with time in life right now, that wasn't an option. So for international customers, if you can't wait, of course I'll ship it to you. But if you can wait and you know that I have a retailer in your country or your area, they will eventually make their way there, I'm sure. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a little different than anything I've done so far, and I've been having a fun time playing it. So I'll see you next time.